Om Shri Sai Ram. My dear students, in the previous session we discussed three Carnatic wars. First Carnatic War, second Carnatic War and third Carnatic War. See, due to the emergence of British and French, Dutch lost their existence and Portuguese lost their existence. But the Carnatic Wars declined the power of French. Thus, there is no competitors and contenders for British in India. In the part 4 of this lesson, we are going to see the British rule in India. They gained control over Hyderabad and Carnatic region. Especially in the south region, they had command. They means British had command. But now, their view, their political ambition, business ambition changed and turned towards north, especially in Bengali region. After gaining political control over South India, the British tried to gain control over rich Bengal. In course of time, during that time, Bengal province was rich. The Bengal province had achieved tremendous success, tremendous growth in the areas like agriculture, commerce and industries. Commerce and even industries. Gradually, they changed and shifted their team towards Bengal. East India Company was making considerable profit from Bengal region, because the Bengal region was rich. Bengal province had achieved a tremendous growth and success in the areas of agriculture, commerce and industry. Here, the British had to collect the dastaks from the Mughal rulers. Here, the Mughal rulers, they issued the dastaks to trade. What do you mean by dastaks? Dastaks mean a trading license. A trading license. One who has dastak, he can make the trade. He has the right to do the trade. Through the dastaks, government, that means Mughal government was earning profit. They were gaining royalty. They were gaining tax and duties through dastaks. Actually, dastaks were issued to East India Company. The Mughal ruler, Farrukh Shiara, Farrukh Shiara, he issued dastaks to the British East India Company. He was the main reason for the issuing of dastak. But these dastaks were limited to the company transactions only. What Farrukh Shiara introduced and issued the dastaks. Dastaks means license, trading license. If you have that license, you can trade. But while you are getting the dastaks, you have to pay back money. One has to pay the money and get the dastaks. But these dastaks were limited to the company transactions only. But these dastaks were misused by the East India Company individual officers. Even they started to trade along with the East India Company to gain personal benefits. Due to that, Mughal treasury incurred huge loss. This resulted in huge loss to the Bengal government. Hence, all Nawab from Murashid Ali Khan to Ali Vardi Khan were opposing such misuses. See, actually, Dastaks were issued to East India Company. East India Company. East India Company. But that Dastak was misused by East India Company officers for their personal benefits. Actually, it was not tolerated by the Nawabs. Even Murshid Ali Khan, Ali Vardi Khan were opposing such misuses. Later, this led confrontation between Nawabs and the company. Nawabs and the company. Here, let us see. What is Dastak mean? Today's first question, what do you mean by Dastak? Who was the Mughal ruler issued Dastaks? Mention the Nawabs who opposed the misuse of Dastaks. Third question, what led confrontation? What led to confrontation? Misunderstanding, strained relation between Nawabs and the East India Company. Once again, what led to confrontation? Confrontation. Difference. Sorry. Confrontation. Confrontation. Misuse of Dastaks led to confrontation between Nawabs and the company. This resulted in two crucial wars which charted decisive course to Indian history. See, the Carnatic War helped British to gain control over Carnatic region and Hyderabad region. After gaining control over South region, especially South region, see, Hyderabad and Carnatic region. These regions came under the fold of British. These regions came under the fold of. But now they eyed in this region, Bengal region. Already we discussed that Bengal, in course of time, Bengal was rich and achieved tremendous progress in agriculture, commerce and trade. It is common frailties, we can say that, longing for trading from Bengal. See how British conquered all India bit by bit through their crucial policies and cunning policies. Actually, there is no mistakes from the side of Nawabs. They issued Dastaks only. But who misused it? Legally, who is wrong? British were wrong. But this led to confrontation between Nawabs and the British. This resulted in two crucial wars which charted a decisive course to Indian history. These two wars changed once again the fate of history. Those two battles are Plassey and Buxar. Plassey and Buxar were those two wars. Okay. Now we are going to see which battle which changed the course of the fate of Bengal people and the Nawab of Bengal and the rulers of Mughal. One such battle was Plassey. Ali Vardi Khan was the Nawab of Bengal. He died in the year 1756. 1756. Who? Ali Vardi Khan. Ali Vardi Khan was the Nawab. He died in the year 1756. Later, his grandson came into position. He is Siraj-ud-Dawla. Who? Siraj-ud-Dawla. Siraj-ud-Dawla. His grandson came into power and came into throne. The Plassey battle took between the young Nawabs Siraj-ud-Dawla and the British in 1756. 1457. Already we come to know that the Battle of Buxar and Battle of Plassey, which changed the fate and course of the history of Bengal. Now let us see the image of Siraj-ud-Dawla. See the image of Siraj-ud-Dawla. He was the grandson of Ali Vardi Khan. Now let us see, before we are going to see the reasons for the Battle of Plassey, we have to see the reasons for Battle of Plassey. The first one is the misuse of dastaks. The first one is the misuse of dastaks. Siraj-ud-Dawla was furious that dastaks were misused by the officials of East India Company. Due to that, the Bengal treasury, that means Nawab's treasury, incurring losses. That means it was a great loss to the government. See, when they were issuing the dastaks, they were collecting the amount, that means the royalty. That was stopped. See, by taking one dastak, all the East India Company officials were misusing the trade. If it continues so, how the Bengal government survive? Can it possible? This was the major reason for the Battle of Plassey. And second one is mending the fort without the permission. What? Mending, misusing. Mending means here using the fort without permission. See, British came to India for the purpose of trading. They want godown or warehouse. But what is the need of constructing fort? They constructed fort and even they used the fort. What was the need? Actually, they were foreigners. They don't have any rights in this country. Even after that, they started to mending and started to construct new forts to protect their political interests. This enraged Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla. That means mending the fort without the permission of Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla. British repaired the fort of Calcutta and placed cannons. What do you mean by cannon? ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ಪಿರಂಗಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ಪಿರಂಗಿ, that is known as cannons, a huge gun. This further angered Siraj-ud-Dawla and he ordered removal of all the cannons from the court. The British refused to do this, angering the Nawab further. See, the first one was the misuse of dastak. Second one, they started to mending the fort and they installed cannons, many cannons. What was the intention? Whether they came for trade or war, this is clear sign of they are trying to wage war against Siraj-ud-Dawla. When he ordered to remove, they did not heed his word. They never heed his word. This refused to do this, angering the Nawab further. And third one is black room tragedy. What is this black room tragedy? Third one is, in the history of India, this is very prominent incident, one of the prominent incident, black room tragedy. Siraj-ud-Dawla conquered Fort William without any difficulties. That means he conquered the Fort William easily and imprisoned some of the British officials and soldiers. He imprisoned 146 Englishmen in a small room in the fort, out of which 123 died. How many were imprisoned? 146 were imprisoned in a small room in that Fort William. After that, 123 died. This incident is called as Black Room tragedy. It is similar to Hitler's camp. Hitler's camp. Yes, this enraged Robert Clive, and he arrived in Bengal with a large army. See, in the previous session only we discussed that Robert Clive was one of the prominent British officer. Actually, he came to India as a clerk, a common clerk. Then he rose to the power of governor, like with his individual capacity, individual mettle, we can say individual mettle, he rose into that position. After knowing this tragedy, Robert Clive arrived in Bengal with a large army. What happened later? Robert Clive, he drafted a blueprint to beat Siraj-ud-Dawla. Initially, he did not use any weapons to beat Siraj-ud-Dawla. First of all, he did a cunning plan. What was the cunning plan? He attracted the rich local merchants, rich locals like Manik Chand, Omi Chand, Jagat Seth and others towards him. See, sometimes battle is not conquered by weapons. It is conquered by plan, strategy, policy. See how Robert Clive used his cunning policies here. Soon after arriving to Bengal, he attracted merchants and rich people like Omi Chand, Manik Chand, Jagat Seth. See, they were pumping the king. They were pumping the money to the king and the administrators. Here they were on the side of Robert Clive. Even he was successful in convincing Mir Jafar, the military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla. Mir Jafar. Who are the rich merchants or rich people came to the contact of Robert Clive? Manik Chand, Omi Chand, Jagat Seth. Note down that question. Mention the rich locals attracted by Robert Clive. Fourth question. Fifth question. Who was the military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla's army? Mir Jafar. Okay. Then Siraj-ud-Dawla, see, the military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla, Mir Jafar, stayed neutral after contacting Robert Clive. See, Robert Clive was successful in convincing Mir Jafar. The military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla stayed neutral in the battle, offering him the post of Nawab of Bengal. See, Robert Clive promised Mir Jafar that if we conquer the battle, if British conquer the battle, he will make Mir Jafar as Nawab. They promised that. Actually, you know that he is a general, a common man. But his ambition was provoked. His ambition was invoked by Robert Clive. So he stayed calm. He did not actively participate in the war. Encouraged by all these developments, Robert Clive declared war against Siraj-ud-Dawla. See, here almost all the plans were early drafted. He attracted the rich merchants. He made Mir Jafar to stay calm. Here everything went according to plan of Robert Clive. Siraj-ud-Dawla, who tried to escape from the battlefield, was captured and killed. See, the foreign invaders, the foreign merchants, they came to India and killed the ruler of this region, this country. This country means, the Bengal region. Just imagine. See, if we see and if we go through this history, what does it show? It shows disunity among the Indians. Disunity. And what are the results of Battle of Plassey? Now we have to discuss The results are outcome of Battle of Plassey. In this Battle of Plassey, we have understood what are the reasons and how Siraj-ud-Dawla was finally defeated. Now we are going to see the outcome. This war brought immorality, lack of unity among Indians. Immorality. How can you say? Now we are going to see the outcomes of Battle of Plassey. How can you say this war brought out immorality? How can you say? See, Jagat Seth, Homi Chand, Manik Chand, they were the native Bengal. They had to support Siraj-ud-Dawla. Instead of they support Robert Clive. That is the immorality, the first thing. Mir Jafar was appointed by Siraj-ud-Dawla. He was worker of Siraj-ud-Dawla. He should have the obedient. He should be obedient to Siraj-ud-Dawla. But he stayed calm and supported Robert Clive for the position of future Nawab of Bengal. This is the immorality. Then lack of unity. When immorality comes, automatically it disrupts unity. That happened in the case of Bengal. Then Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. The second point is Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. The company gained exclusive rights to do business in Bengal. See, formerly they had to get dastaks. After dastaks only they can trade. But now they got exclusive right. There is no need of paying any tax and royalties to the Bengal government. See how this cleared the way of trade of British. They cleared all the blocks. They cleared all the blocks. Mir Jafar had to pay rupees 17 corner and 70 crore, 17 crore and 17 lakh to as a relief to Siraj-ud-Dawla's attack on Fort William. Imagine. Who attacked Fort William? It was attacked by Siraj-ud-Dawla. Who had to pay the war indemnity? Siraj-ud-Dawla. But why should Mir Jafar pay? See, here also they gained money. See, after that, after the defeat, Mir Jafar had to pay rupees 17 crore and 17 lakh to British as a relief. As a relief. Because Siraj-ud-Dawla attacked on Fort William. In brief, in nutshell, Mir Jafar became continuous victim of company and its employees. He became the continuous victim of its employees and British. Even though treasury went bankrupt, see, his finance condition was pathetic, money was dried, that means his treasury went bankrupt. Due to this greedy nature of British, the greediness of the company and its officials were never satisfied. See, whatever Mir Jafar provided and assisted and helped the British, it was not satisfied by the British because they were greedy. They were very greedy. The British projected Mir Jafar as an inefficient Nawab. See, due to the war indemnity means Yuddha Danda ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದಂಡ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು. ಸಿರಾಜ್-ಉದ್-ದೌಲಾ ಫೋರ್ಟ್ ವಿಲಿಯಂನ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದರಿಂದಾಗಿ, ದಾಳಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದರಿಂದಾಗಿ ಆ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಯಾರು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು? ಸಿರಾಜ್-ಉದ್-ದೌಲಾ ವಾಸ್ ಕಿಲ್ಡ್. Who came after Siraj-ud-Dawla? Mir Jafar. So Mir Jafar had to pay. Because of that only his treasury went dry. The British projected Mir Jafar as an inefficient Nawab and brought in his nephew Mir Qasim as the new Nawab. See, within a few years, 3 Nawabs were changed. See, Sirajuddaulah, Mir Jafar, after Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim came into power. Okay, this is in this way Battle of Plassey occurred. And the questions, what are the reasons for Battle of Plassey? What are the outcomes of battle? 6th question. 7th question is what are the outcomes of Battle of Plassey? Why? 8th question. Why was Mir Jafar removed from the post of Nawab? 8th question. 9th question is who came into the power after Mir Jafar? Once again, who came into the power as Nawab after Mir Jafar? These are all the questions. Now we are going to see another incident that was also responsible, which changed the course, direction of Bengal history as well as fate of Bengal. That another incident was Battle of Buxar. Now we are going to see Battle of Buxar, which occurred during 1764. Battle of Mir Qasim was an inefficient administrator actually. In the beginning he remained loyal to the British and he provided all the facilities whatever the company asked. He paid 2 lakh pounds to the company and gave away few places to British. Why did he give away few places to British? From there British had right to collect the taxes. Because of that only he handed over those villages to British, those regions to British. Shortly he declared himself as an independent king. Mir Jafar was assistant and he assisted aid of British during the Battle of Plassey. Finally he was thrown out. Later Mir Qasim came. But he did not want to remain as puppet under the hands of British. So he declared himself as independent king. After verifying the misuse of dastaks, he declared that business is duty-free in Bengal. What a beautiful plan. He declared, Mir Qasim declared, business in Bengal is duty free. What do you mean by duty free? The businessman need not to pay any tax while transacting in international trade or while dealing international trade. There is no need of pay any tax. Before this, every transaction, every businessman had to pay while transacting with other countries, had to pay that tax while dealing with other countries. But when Mir Qasim came to power, he declared business is duty free in Bengal, duty under Sumka. As a result, the Indians competed against the British in all the spheres of all the sectors of business, all the spheres of business. Even Indians also involved in the business. What happened later? British companies incurred huge loss. As a result, British trade suffered considerably. This was enough for British to oppose Nawab. They brought in Mir Jafar. See, once again Mir Qasim was removed and in the place of Mir Qasim, Mir Jafar was placed. As Mir Qasim knew about the cunningness of the British, he went for an organized war against British. He was supported by Indian merchants, Indian artisans. Then Mir Qasim entered into an agreement with the Mughal ruler. The Mughal ruler then was Shah Alam II. Then Nawab of Awadh, Shuja ud Daul. They formed a triple alliance. Triple alliance. Who are the counterparts of the triple alliance? This agreement? Mir Qasim, Shah Alam, Shuja ud Daula. What was Shah Alam? Shah Alam was Mughal ruler. Shuja ud Daula. Shuja ud Daula. He was Nawab of Awadh. Then another party was Qasim. Mir Qasim. These three people joined together and formed a team to fight against British. United team they formed. Then Mir Qasim got defeated and ran away from the battlefield. Shah Alam surrendered. Then Shuja ud Daula, the efforts of the combined force to stop British force failed completely. Though these three aligned unitedly, they could not face Robert Clive. At that moment, Robert Clive amassed huge wealth. At the same time, they built many forts. One such fort was Fort William. And they installed cannons. They had advanced weapons that helped Robert Clive and team to defeat Qasim, Shah Alam and Shuja ud Daula. Then let us see the outcome. Shah Alam II accorded Diwani rights over Bengal to British. See, Diwani rights. Shah Alam was Mughal ruler. Bengal was their subordinate region. Subordinate region means Bengal was assigned to the Nawab to look after. In the beginning only I told that Mughal rulers had long and vast stretch. It was very difficult to look after each nooks and corner of the places. Because of that only they appointed Nawabs, Nizams and other governors. One such region was Bengal. Here Shah Alam put a sign. Accorded means sign, made an agreement. He accorded, that means he gave Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Now, British were able to collect the taxes from Bengal. Then Shah Alam II gave away all rights over Bengal to British for annual fee of rupees 26 lakh. Then Nawab of Awadh had to give away fine of rupees 50 lakh because of war indemnity, because he waged war against East India Company. These are all the outcomes of Battle of Buxar. Then with the death of Mir Jafar, the company paid pension to his son and took over the entire Bengal region under their fold. These are all the outcomes. Then Buxar battle made British as the real holders of the powers at Bihar, Bengal, Odisha provinces. Due to through three Carnatic wars, they got command over Hyderabad and Carnatic region. But through Bengal region, to Battle of Buxar, they took control over Odisha, Bengal and Bihar. Even Awadh was the ruler of Awadh in course of time. Shuja ud Daula was the ruler of Awadh. Even Awadh remained under the control of British. In 1765, Robert Clive brought in dual government concept. Already they got Diwani rights. But in 1765, he introduced dual government. What a cunning policy this is. See, dual government. What do you mean by dual government? The collecting the taxes, the rights of collecting taxes went to British, and looking after the administrations like judgment, judiciary and other police activities were assigned to British. Once again, here as per this dual government, the British had to write, collect and land taxes, whereas the Nawab had the power to look after the administrative issues like justice and others. Like this, British gained political control over India and protect the business interests. This is all about the advent of India and the powers of European, and how you know that Portuguese established their presence in India and they came to Kapadu. Later they extended their territory till Goa. But one thing we have to keep in mind. They came in the year 1749, but they left India on 19th December 1961. See, for long years they continued there. Later Dutch also came to India, French also came to India, British. But British were able to sustain their power till 1947. Dear children, I hope you might have understood my lessons and see video thoroughly. In between I asked so many questions. That is question for activity. Don't waste your time. Read well. While watching the video, please go through the textbook also. That will make you more understandable. Okay, Sai Ram, Sai Ram.